Welcome, ladies, degenerates, and gentlemen, back to the DeGents podcast. I'm your host, DFuscy. As you can see, it's going to be a solo this week. Quick recap, quick picks, and that'll be it. Got to get the episode out. Rich was too busy kicking ass in softball last night for us to record together. So I'm going to run through a recap and give out my picks as well as his. He sent me picks for both college football and NFL. So let's get right into it with week 11 of college football. Some good games. Ohio State blows out Purdue. No surprise there. Georgia Tech takes down Miami finally. They've been squeezing through a lot of these games. Some lucky calls, some big crazy plays. But they finally go down to Georgia Tech 28-23. That's going to bump Cam Ward down in the Heisman as well. They're still right up there in the ACC, though. Texas whomps Florida 49-17. Ole Miss, big win for Ole Miss. They were on the verge of getting eliminated. They won 28-10 over Georgia. That was an awesome game. Indiana does beat Michigan to stay undefeated, but it was a close one, 20-15. That was a play that both Rich and I had, plus 14.5 with the Wolverines. But Indiana does squeak out the win and proves to be pretty legit after their first real competition, I would say. Moving on here, Kansas beats Iowa State 45-36. This was the game that was at Arrowhead. Kind of surprising there. Kansas has struggled a lot this season. They were projected to be about an 8-win team. They have not been that, but playing some good ball the past couple of weeks. Army beats North Texas 14-3. Clemson stays on a roll, beats Virginia Tech 24-14, a low-scoring game there. Colorado keeps their playoff hopes alive with a 41-27 win over Texas Tech. That's huge for them. They kind of have to run the table to get into the playoff and have a chance at the Big 12. So another big win there. Oregon 39-18 over Maryland. They stay on top at number 1. Tennessee, convincing win over Mississippi State, 33-14. Notre Dame 52-3 over Florida State. No surprise there. Florida State has been the biggest disappointment in college football, without a doubt. Bama absolutely destroys LSU in an elimination game. This game was pretty much over from the jump. 42-13 for Bama, so they keep their playoff hopes alive as well. Same with Missouri. That game was crazy at the end, scooping scores and crazy happenings in the final minutes. But Missouri wins 30-23 over Oklahoma. They are also still alive in the SEC. Penn State 35-6 over Washington. Boise State stays on a roll 28-21 over Nevada. No surprise there. Virginia gives Pitt their second loss in a row after starting off 7-0. So they're kind of reeling here in the ACC. BYU stays undefeated by the skin of their teeth, 22-21 at Utah. And lastly, rounding out the top 25, Washington State beats Utah State 49-28. And that's pretty much it for college football. Overall, good weekend, some meaningful games for some bigger teams. And we got a couple more big games coming up this week. So let's go quickly to NFL before we get into some picks. NFL Week 10 started Thursday night with an absolute banger. Ravens 35, Bengals 34. This seems to be a theme with the Bengals. They do everything they can offensively, and it's hard to stop the Ravens, but their defense has been kind of letting Joey B and Jamar Chase down. Both of those guys having MVP and Offensive Player of the Year seasons respectively, but they just cannot pull off the close games down the final stretch. So the Bengals drop to 4-6, and the Ravens move to 7-3, right up there with the Steelers in the division. Now on to Sunday. Patriots outright win as a 6.5-point dog in Chicago against the Bears. The Bears looked horrendous in this game. Patriots looked decent. I think Drake had 1 passing touchdowns and a lot of field goals from Mr. Joey Sly. But either way, Pats get a win. And I'm starting to enjoy watching Drake May and this Patriots team, as long as he's behind center. Panthers. Oh, I skipped over the Munich game. Sorry. Munich. The Panthers beat the Giants for 2 wins in a row, 20-17, in Germany. This was a tough watch, but it is football, so I did watch most of it. They ended up going to overtime. Big fumble by Tyron Tracy down the stretch. And the Panthers get their second victory in a row. So good for them. Bryce Young looks a little bit better. It is the Giants, but he has looked better the past couple weeks. Now we move to Arrowhead, where the Chiefs block a field goal with no time on the clock to squeak out their 9th victory in a row. 9-0, 16-14 was the final. The Broncos pretty much controlled this game most of the time. I believe they were up 14-3 at one point, maybe 14-6. But then Travis Kelce gets a touchdown, brings them within one. Or was it whatever, brings them closer, and they go up. Broncos had a 35-ish yarder to win the game with no time on the clock, and the Chiefs win with special teams on a blocked field goal. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They do it in all 3 phases. Everyone is talking about how it's rigged and scripted and blah, blah, blah. But this team is just good. That's a sign of a good football team, that you do it offensively, defensively, and on special teams. Next game, Steelers, 28-27. This was probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. It was kind of an ugly slate on Sunday, but this game was back and forth. Mike Williams, first game with the Steelers, gets the game-winning touchdown on a moonshot from Russ. And the Steelers take down the Commanders, so they are right atop the division with the Ravens as well, and they play this week. So that's going to be a big matchup, which we will get to. Vikings-Jags, this was a big stinker. Sam Darnold had, I believe, 3 red zone interceptions. 12-7 was the final score here. Jags didn't look good themselves, but the Vikings do get the victory. I believe this was, Rich had the Jags +4. They lose by 5. And by the time I put the Vikings in, Trevor Lawrence had been announced out. The line went to 7. I faded him and still took the 7, and I also lost. So that's an L for both of us. That game was brutal. That's pretty much it there. Falcons Saints. Saints get the victory in the fired coach game. Should have known better, taking the Falcons -3. They didn't look like themselves in this game, but the fired coach game, man, it's I believe it's 2-0 this year. Saints get the dub after losing 7 straight, 20-17. Niners-Bucks was a good game, actually, also. So not the only good game in Washington, but 23-20. Niners beat the Bucks after Moody missed 3 field goals. He makes the game winner down the stretch to redeem himself. Baker's just putting this Buccaneers team on his shoulders with all the injuries, and he's keeping them in games. I think the Bucks can be scary down the stretch, especially in a NFC South that is not world beaters, we'll say. But Niners get a much-needed win. Bills-Colts, 30-20. Joe Flacco gets benched in this game after 2 games, so we'll see Anthony Richardson this week. Bills get another victory to pull even further ahead in the AFC East. Next game was Titans-Chargers, another ugly one. 27-17 was the final here. Chargers are on a roll. They've yet to really they have played the Chiefs once, but Herbert was banged up for that game. So they've yet to really face a good team at full strength. I'd be interested to see how they match up with the Chiefs in their second meeting and some other better teams coming down the stretch for LA, but they get another victory. I believe they are 6-3 now. Next game, the Eagles absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. A lot of turmoil now in Dallas. Jerry Jones freaking out at the media about the stadium, saying why don't we just start over, because they were talking about the sun blinding CeeDee Lamb. I love Cowboys misery, so this is good, but I also don't really like the Eagles. 34-6 was the final there. 2 games left on Sunday. Last afternoon game was Jets-Cardinals. Jets get absolutely destroyed by the Cardinals. Kyler Murray looks unbelievable. This Cardinal team is nothing to sleep on. They are now first place in the NFC West. 31-6 was the final in this one. And the night game, Lions-Texans. Lions win 26-23 after being down the entire game. They hold the Texans to 0 points in the second half, and Jake Bates makes two huge field goals down the stretch, including the game winner. And the Lions get another victory, kind of similar to the Chiefs. I mean, Goff had 5 picks in this game. That's the storyline. I'm sure everybody knows by now. And they still find a way to win this game. Another sign of a good football team. So Chiefs and Lions, I think, really are head of the pack here going into week 11. And lastly, we have the Monday Night Football game. The Dolphins are back 23-15 over the Rams. The Rams did not score an offensive touchdown in this game. Didn't look very good. It was a defensive game, though. The defense for the Rams did look good as well as the Dolphins. But the Dolphins pull out the victory 23-15, trying to stay alive in the AFC East and AFC wildcard race. And that is the recap. So let's move to picks in college football. Okay, so college football week 12, I'm going to run through my picks and some of the reasonings, talk about a couple other games that I did not pick that are big ones or good matchups at least. I have nothing Thursday, Friday. At the end, I will run through Rich's picks, but let me make sure he does have a Friday pick. So that will be tomorrow. And he's going to be on Colorado State minus the 10. And they are hosting Wyoming. You can get it at 9.5 on DraftKings today, Thursday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's the only play we have Thursday or Friday for college football between the two of us. And now let me get into my Saturday games. At the end, I'll run through all of Rich's Saturdays, and I'll do the same for NFL when we get there. Okay, so I'm going to start it off with a couple nooners. I'm going to be on the under 47.5 in the Michigan State-Illinois game. These two teams have a combined record of 6-12 to the under this year, 6 to the over, 12 to the under. I should put that the other way. 12-6 to the under. I don't think these offenses are very good, and for both teams, I think the strength of their team is the defense. So I expect this one to go under the 47.5 with two good under teams. Another nooner is going to be over 58.5. Baylor at West Virginia. Same exact stat, but flip the other way. 12-6 to the over between these two teams this season. And they can both score. It's a Big 12 game. Should be a lot of points here. So I like the over 58.5. Next up for me is going to be James Madison minus the 3 at Old Dominion. JMU's defense is very good against the run, and that is what Old Dominion's offense relies on heavily. They average 180. Old Dominion, that is, averages 180 rushing yards a game, whereas they only average the same passing the ball. So not very good in the pass game, heavily relying on the run, which JMU is good at defending. And I think they'll bottle up the run and be able to get after the passer. Old Dominion also gives up 3.1 sacks a game, and that's 120th in the nation. So I think JMU stops the run here and gets after the QB and holds Dominion, covers the 3. My next pick is Rutgers at Maryland over 51. Similar stat. These teams are a combined 13-5 to the over this year. You wouldn't think so much with Rutgers to be an over team, but I like the little total at 51. Rutgers can score, although their defense is good. Maryland is always an offensive team, in my opinion. Moving on here, I am taking Arizona State at Kansas State plus the 9. This line just seemed like a little bit too much to me. Kansas State definitely topped the Big 12 in terms of talent and how they played this year, but I think 9 points is a lot even on the road for an ASU team that's been playing pretty solid this year. And then I got 3 more picks here on Saturday. Next up, Oregon minus the 14 at Wisconsin. Wisconsin has Nebraska and Minnesota remaining in the schedule, whereas Oregon has a bye week next week, and then Washington. Big spreads for Oregon this year haven't been the best, but I think they come in to Wisconsin and roll and win by 2 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel still second in Heisman voting behind Travis Hunter, so one more big game here and then should roll through Washington as well to keep the Ducks at number 1 and undefeated. Next up, Tennessee plus the 10 at Georgia. Georgia obviously lost to Ole Miss last week. You would think a get-right spot at home, but I just don't trust Carson Beck against this really good Tennessee defense. Ole Miss's defense gave Carson Beck problems, and I think Tennessee's defense is better than Ole Miss's. Ole Miss defense is good, but Tennessee has had a top 10 defense all season pretty much, and I think 10 points is a lot. An SEC matchup that means a lot for both teams. So I expect it to be close, and I'll take the plus 10 with Tennessee. And lastly, I'm going to take BYU minus 2.5 at Kansas. Kansas did get a win last week. They've been playing a lot of close games, but they are pretty much out of it. I think they're, 4-7 maybe? I'd have to look. Yeah, not even. Kansas is 3-6 and same record against the spread. Whereas BYU looks to stay undefeated and get themselves into the playoff and maybe win the Big 12 as well. 9-0, 7-2 ATS for BYU. They're at home here. Kansas coming off a big win against Iowa State. I think BYU wins by 3 or more. And that is it for me. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plays in college. And let's quickly run through Rich's plays here. Rich's Saturday plays are going to be Navy plus the 7. Let me get these matchups too so you guys know. Navy plus the 7 hosting Tulane. That should be a really good game. I would probably lean Tulane in this game, but Rich is going to be on Navy plus the 7. That's a noontime. He's going to be on UMass plus the 14.5. Liberty. UMass is hosting Liberty. Rich is going to be on UMass plus the 14.5. I don't have any reasonings here, but I will give you guys some records. Liberty 6-2, 2-6 ATS. UMass obviously at home here. They're 2-7. That's typical for UMass. 3-5-1 ATS. So a little bit of lean toward UMass in terms of ATS record this year, and that is where Rich is going. He's also going to be on Pitt plus the 10. I believe that line has moved up a bit to 11.5. I'm seeing here on covers. Let's check DraftKings. I wanted to take Clemson the other day when it was at 10. It is now at 11. He's going to take Pitt plus the 11. They're coming off 2 straight losses. Clemson playing some good ball, so I'd lean the other way. Sorry, Rich. But he is going to be on Pitt plus the 10. He probably already put it in at 10. You can get it at 11 right now. Next up for Rich is going to be Notre Dame minus 22.5. And they're hosting Virginia, 22.5. He's laying it with Notre Dame at home. Next up for Rich is San Jose State plus 13.5. They are hosting Boise State. So a big game there. Obviously, Boise has been rolling, but he's going to take the points at home with San Jose State. And next game is Wake, North Carolina, under 60 or over 64. Excuse me, it's at 63.5 right now on DraftKings. So you can get it a half point down at North Carolina. And Rich's last play is fading me in the BYU Kansas game. He is going to take Kansas plus the 2.5. They've been playing some good ball, so don't hate that pick. I just lean more toward BYU. I think it means a lot more to them. But he's on Kansas, so we're head-to-head there. Everything else is individual for us. And that is it for college football. So let's move quickly to the NFL. That's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks for Rich. I got the same amount, only going against each other in one, and we're not on the same page on any picks, actually. So that should be fun for the show. And let's go to the NFL. We obviously start on Thursday night. Commanders at Eagles, 4-point spread with a total set at 49.5 here. Rich is on the Commanders plus the 4. I don't have a play here. I may tweet one out later on tonight once the episode is out. But nothing yet here for me. I really have no read on this game. Commanders coming off a loss, Eagles coming off a blowout win. It's obviously a huge game for the division. These are the only two teams that are competing for the division, with the Giants and Cowboys being terrible. So big one here. Eagles at home. Rich is on the Commanders. And now we move to Sunday. He's got 3 on Sunday. I've got 5 on Sunday. I did have written down that I lean towards the Eagles on Thursday night, but I'm not going to play it right now. It's up to 4 as well. Packers at Bears is where we'll start for Sunday. Packers laying 5.5. The total set at 40.5. I'm on the Packers laying 5.5 here. I think this Bears team has given up. They just fired their offensive coordinator and a couple other coaches. Packers are off a bye. So I think the Packers handle the Bears here, win by about a touchdown, if not more, hopefully. Nothing there for Rich. Let's move on. We got the Jags at the Lions with 13-point spread, obviously to the Lions at home. Total set at 47. I have nothing here. Neither does Rich. Get me away from a 13-point spread. I don't have any faith in this Jaguars team. I believe it's going to be Mac Jones again. So, yuck. And Jared Goff should bounce back off a really bad game with 5 picks. Next up here is Vikings at Titans. Vikings are laying 6 on the road with a total set at 39.5 here. Excuse me. I am on the Vikings. Tennessee's 1-8 against the spread this year. And they didn't play very well against Jacksonville, so I expect Sam Darnold and the Vikings to bounce back here and beat the Titans by a touchdown or more. Next up, Ravens at Steelers. Huge game for the AFC North, excuse me. Ravens laying 3.5 on the road in Pittsburgh. Total set at 48.5. I'm going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I bet them last week. That was one of my picks that came home. Oh, I forgot to do my record as well. I'll do that after. The Steelers have really surprised me this year. Obviously, we both bet the team total under for wins. That's already dead. But I'll take the Steelers plus 3.5 hosting the Ravens in a big divisional game. Mike Tomlin as an underdog. I mean, it's a great value. I know the Ravens are nasty, but the Steelers team has been really good on both sides of the ball. So I'll take the points at home with the Steelers. And then we move Rams at Patriots in New England. Rams are laying 4.5 on the road with a total set at 43.5. I don't have a play here. 4.5 is kind of a crazy line. I think the Rams are a much better team, obviously, but the Patriots have been playing some good ball. So I'll be watching. No play for me. And nothing for Rich as well. Next game here is Raiders at the Dolphins. Dolphins laying 7 at home. Total set at 44. I have nothing. Neither does Rich. Tua starting to come back into form here. Gardner Minshew will go for the Raiders. Lean the Dolphins, especially with them trying to claw themselves back into a wild card spot here. They're going to have to rattle off a few in a row. But I'm not laying 7. Just don't trust this team enough yet. Moving on, we got Jets hosting the Colts. Jets laying 4 points somehow. I mentioned earlier, Anthony Richardson is going to be the starter again for the Colts. This total is 43.5. Rich has nothing, and I also have nothing. I love betting against the Jets, but I don't trust the Colts really against most teams in the NFL. So nothing there. I don't think this line is right. Personally, the Jets don't deserve to be favored against many teams, but I guess if there was a team, it would be Colts. Moving on, we got Browns at the Saints. Browns are -1, so basically a pick 'em. Total set at 44.5. Nothing for Rich, but I'm on the Browns money line here. Browns coming off a bye. I know Jameis is volatile and the Saints have a new coach, but that spark can wear off really quick in the NFL. I don't think the Saints are a very good team, and the Browns have more talent, and I think they win this one. Next game. That's it for 1 o'clock. So we move to the 4 o'clock, 4:25 slate Eastern. Seahawks at Niners, big divisional game here. Niners laying 6.5. Total set at 48. Neither of us have a play here. I would lean towards the over. Too many points here. Seems like the Seahawks always play the Niners pretty good. Kind of leaning the Seahawks with a touchdown, if I'm being honest. CMC's back, obviously had a good game in his first game back. Looks good. Should ramp up a bit here, but no plays there for me. Next game, Falcons at the Broncos. Broncos minus 2.5 at home with a total set of 44. Nothing for Rich. Falcons burned me last week. I'm going to hop right back on and take the 3 points on the road. I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. Yeah, Broncos have been playing good, but I like the Falcons here. Next game, biggest game of the weekend. Not even a question. Chiefs at the Bills. Bills minus 2 at home. Total set at 46. Rich has a play. I do not. I will be kicking my feet up to watch this tremendous game. But Rich is going to take Bills on the money line, minus the 130. I don't hate it. Chiefs, I mean, I want to say that they're going to lose one eventually. Bills have been playing really good, but I find it hard to bet against the Chiefs. Yeah, but I don't hate the pick. Rich is on the Bills money line. Should be a banger of a game. I'm going to sit back and watch that one. Next up is Sunday night. Bengals at the Chargers. Chargers minus 1.5. Total set at 48. Rich is on the Chargers money line, and that's going to conclude his picks and mine. He likes the Chargers at home to win this game. I like this game Sunday night. I think it should be exciting, but I don't have a play for it. And then Monday night, we have Texans at the Cowboys. Texans are laying 7 on the road. Obviously, Dak is out. Texans have been good to start games. Can't hold on to it. Obviously, we saw with the Lions, but nothing there. If I have something, I'll tweet it out on Monday. And that is it. So Rich is on Commanders +4 on Thursday night tonight. And then Sunday, he's on Broncos minus 2.5. Bills money line. Oh, I forgot to mention that. I'm on the Falcons +3, and Rich is on Broncos minus 2.5. So going head to head there. That's good. Rich is also on the Bills money line and the Chargers money line. So all his plays are coming later in the day in NFL. And for me, I have the Vikings -6 at the Titans. I have the Steelers getting 3.5 at home against the Ravens. Browns money line on the road at the Saints. Packers minus the 5.5 at the Bears, and the Falcons +3 at the Broncos. And that concludes our week 12 and 11, respectively, college and NFL. And before I sign off here, I do want to mention how I did last week, record-wise, and my total record. I don't have those stats for Rich, but I did go 5-1 in college football. UCLA +7 on Thursday. Rutgers +7, Duke +3, lost the over in Georgia Ole Miss at 54.5. That was my one loss. And then Michigan +14.5 and Bama money line. So good week in college football to go 5-1. And then NFL was 1-2. Only had 3 plays, not very good. Only hit was the Steelers. Lost the Falcons -3, lost the Vikings -7. And that total record brings me to 30, 27-5 in the NFL. So staying positive even after a 1-2 week. And I'm all the way back in college football, 3 really good weeks in a row. I'm back over 500, 45, 44, and 3. So barely over 500, but stringing a few good weeks together here. And that's it. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow the socials, Twitter and, x.com and Instagram. I'm going to start putting out a lot more clips and stuff. So, yeah. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for watching. Peace.